Ancient castles are home to a treacherous past and terrifying modern mysteries. Strange sounds, bizarre visions, and nightmares that are said to come back again and again.
Truth or Scare is daring to enter the haunted castles of England. Don't you just love a good ghost story? In England, 1 out of every 7 people say they've seen a ghost. Lots of these strange sightings happen in and around historic castles. They say the spirits won't leave this world, and they refuse to move on to the next. Our next stop is Sudeley Castle. Over the years, Sudeley has seen more than its share of suffering. Some people say that intense emotional forces could have left an impression on the castle stones. An imprint so strong that they believe they see ghosts walking through the halls. Sudeley Castle is the scene of many so-called ghost sightings. Some say even the spirit of a loyal servant still shows up for work. The Tower of London has been standing for almost 1,000 years, watching over the United Kingdom through some of its darkest hours. What's in the Tower of London itself? Eternal reminders of torture and executions, and possibly the walking spirits of the victims themselves. England's grand estates were home to more than royalty in their courts. Over the ages, they were also the setting for ruthless acts of violence and cruelty. Some believe the tortured souls who lost their lives will not move on to the next world. Of course, no one knows for sure if ghosts really do exist. But those who believe will continue to study the strange sights and sounds that haunt the ancient castles of England. Over 100 years ago, Bram Stoker created a monster that's still claiming victims to this day.
A ravenous hunter with an insatiable appetite for blood. He can transform himself into a bat, a wolf, or even disappear in a cloud of mist. And everyone who meets him falls under his irresistible spell. Count Dracula is coming to Truth or Scare, and nothing can stop him. In 1897, Bram Stoker wrote a horror novel about a Romanian count with a taste for human blood. It wasn't a huge success at the time, and it didn't make him rich or famous. But over the years, the Dracula legend has grown to epic proportions. What you might not know is that Stoker was inspired by some of the real people and events from his own life. I'm here to uncover the facts behind the fiction. And now, the real story of Count Dracula. One of Dracula's best tricks is turning into a bat. It's just one of the ways the Count terrifies his victims and escapes when he needs to. But there's something even scarier out there. Real vampire bats. And they drink real blood. Welcome back. Our story so far. The Prince of Darkness is terrorizing England. His latest victim lies sick in bed. Could Lucy rise up from her bed? A new woman? A vampire? It's no surprise that Stoker was thinking about strong female characters that threatened the system. While he was writing Dracula, the women's liberation movement was starting right outside his door. In Bram Stoker's novel, Dracula is not only frightening because of his powers. He's from Transylvania, and in the 19th century, just being a foreigner was very scary to some people. So we return to our story, as the vampire slayers are on a mission to save both their friend Mina and their entire country. And what about Bram Stoker's novel? Was he secretly planning to bring his monster back someday? Maybe Stoker never really meant for Dracula to die. That would explain why it was a hunting knife that supposedly finished him off. Well, one thing I know. No matter how many times he's killed, Count Dracula will always return. Harker, you fool. When suspected werewolf Gilles Gagné was arrested, he was presumed guilty and tortured until he confessed the details of his crime. 16th century law set forth the telltale signs of a werewolf, and Gagné fit the description to a T. There was one more crucial piece of evidence against him: a jar of strange ointment found with him when he was captured. Confessed werewolf Gilles Gagné testified that a magic ointment had turned him into an animal with a lust for blood. The courts found him guilty of being a werewolf. But was he? In France, 4 centuries ago, the case of accused wolfman Gilles Gagné caused a sensation. Each day, as more sordid details of his crime became known, outrage turned to obsession. We still don't know exactly why Gagné attacked his fellow villagers. One thing we do know is that he was not alone. We'll never know for certain what made people believe Gilles Gagné was a werewolf, but thanks to modern science, we finally have a few ideas. We may never have all of the answers, but the Wolfman, it seems, will always live on in our imaginations. Few modern people fear the power of ancient curses and hexes, but there are others who believe a deadly curse has been released on the world as recently as the 1920s. A curse that could make even skeptics think twice. An ancient tomb holds a huge treasure. An unbelievable wealth allegedly protected by an unknown evil. One by one, many of those who have disturbed the crypt have died mysteriously. Could it be a deadly hex? This is the story of the curse of Tutankhamun. On the banks of the Nile, the body of a boy king lies dead, wrapped in cloth and mysteriously sealed underground. Boy? An Egyptian pharaoh entombed with a priceless fortune some 3,000 years ago. 1,500 years before the birth of Christ, kings of Egypt known as pharaohs were buried in the Valley of the Kings, a land riddled with age-old mysteries that continue to fascinate us to this day. Was there really a deadly spell cast thousands of years ago on the tomb of Tutankhamun? The tomb of King Tut has reportedly claimed lives of many victims. To this day, skeptics wonder if there is some truth to the lethal hex. But in 1922, Howard Carter shrugged off the curse and went back to work. Perhaps easier said than done. Since the burial of King Tut, the so-called Curse of the Mummy has traveled across the centuries. By 1929, 13 people were dead. Anything remotely connected with the tomb of Tutankhamun seems to have left death and destruction in its path. Tutankhamun, now a household name, has what all pharaohs wanted most. He has gained immortality, if only a name. Ironically, this young Egyptian pharaoh owes his fame to the English nobleman who some 3,000 years later disturbed his tomb. This is the same man who is believed to have unleashed a chain reaction of death. But whether it was by exposing the world to a lethal mold or by unlocking an ancient curse, we will always be fascinated with the life and death of the boy king known as Tutankhamun. Ireland's history has secrets to reveal. Its ancient homes recall a mystical past, filled with unspeakable tragedy. Some say the memories of the past still haunt Ireland today. Are there restless spirits trapped in the castles of Ireland? The answers await you on Truth or Scare. Boo. Do you believe in ghosts? That's a question most kids have been asked a million times. And if your answer is no, let me ask you this. Have you ever visited the castles of Ireland? A lot of people say one trip is all it takes to make a believer out of anyone. Ireland's history is filled with claims of these strange things seen in these strange places. Some are based on truth, some on legend. Either way, the stories are impossible to ignore. Most people think of a haunted house as a living nightmare. But according to the residents of one Irish castle, it was the ghost that made their dreams come true. In the castles of Ireland, no two reports of a ghost sighting are the same. Some people claim they've come face to face with a spirit they can actually see, but others say they've experienced a different type of terror, the terror that comes with the invisible visitors, known as poltergeists. There are so many stories of haunted castles in Ireland. Most people can't keep track of them. But some accounts are totally unforgettable. Like in what many say is Ireland's most haunted castle. The witness looked right into the face of, and could even smell the putrid stench of a horrifying apparition. Not exactly a pleasure trip, huh? But I guess a quest for ancient spirits is never easy, and neither is deciding whether or not to believe. There's still no scientific proof that ghosts exist. Then again, there's no proof that they don't. But after seeing the castles of Ireland, one thing's for sure. If a ghost comes your way, you'll know exactly what it is when you see it. Ghosts and poltergeists, troubled spirits of the dead, or the work of other mysterious forces? Dead people walking through walls, talking to us, throwing things violently about. Do ghosts really exist, or are they just the work of our imaginations? This is the story of the brave people who search for the answers, the ghost hunters. Ghosts and goblins, spooks and spirits. For centuries, we have been troubled by these unknown forces. Perhaps someone you know has mentioned an unexplained visitor or an eerie event. Scientists are seeking answers to these riddles, but the harder they look, the more puzzling their search becomes. Electromagnetic energy is all around us. It's emitted from our televisions, microwaves, and computers. Could these common signals be clouding our thoughts and creating the appearance of ghouls and ghosts? Dr. William Rill thinks so. Poltergeists, spirits. Is the human mind strong enough to move objects wildly around a room? Or is it the work of ghosts? Charlton House, a 17th century manor near London, has a long history of strange noises, lights, and phantoms.
ancient Druid site of Stonehenge was for 5,000 years a place of strange visions and mystical events. Could a simple magnetic field possibly be responsible for centuries of its ghostly hauntings? The study of ghosts and goblins is revealing a strange new world. But even as we find reasonable explanations for the seemingly unreasonable, we open doorways that lead to even more mysteries. Electromagnetism may simply be fooling our senses, or it could be turning a key that unlocks previously unknown powers in the human mind itself. Have extraterrestrials ever visited Earth? Not long ago in Phoenix, Arizona, some say they looked up and saw this. Was there a UFO over Phoenix?
Come on, be an aircraft or something.
Late at night, when you look into the sky, what do you see? UFOs have fascinated human beings for years. We've all seen movies about aliens, but could it actually happen in real life? For some people, the answer is clear. In a universe of infinite size, to assume we're the only intelligent life is, well, stupid. But so far, there's no proof. Or is there? So far, we know some very mysterious lights appeared in the Arizona sky in 1997. Twice. Hundreds of eyewitnesses came forward. A few of them even made homemade videotapes. And all of them had questions. Hundreds of witnesses had seen the strange hovering lights in March of '97. Now Phoenix was burning with curiosity. Was this a bona fide sighting of extraterrestrials? Maybe there was another explanation. For some reason, the governor's office considered the sighting a joke. There was no official investigation. The lights seen above Phoenix had set off a wide-ranging investigation. Witnesses testified about what they'd seen, and UFO investigators were called in to examine the evidence. Everyone involved in the case came up with their own theory to explain what they saw that night. The mystery remained. The two separate UFO events that were seen that night over Phoenix were never completely explained. Around 10 p.m., the Maryland Air Guard says it dropped flares that landed behind the mountains. But some believe this doesn't fully explain that V formation moving so quickly across the sky. According to some, there may be things still left to investigate. Until then, we may never know exactly what crossed the skies of Phoenix. Knock, knock. Who's there? After dark? In houses all across the United States. Things that go bump in the night can strike fear into even the bravest soul. Make yourself at home with Truth or Scare as we move into some of America's most haunted houses. They say there's no place like home. Could that explain why some people never leave? The United States has only been around for a little over 200 years, but that's been more than enough time for the ghosts of the dead to haunt lots of American homes. At least, that's what the people who live there say. Are these claims to be believed? That's up to you to decide. Sarah Winchester built her house specifically for ghosts. Today, tourists go there practically expecting an encounter with the unexplained. But in one historic American city, visitors experience the spirit world the old-fashioned way, unexpectedly. New Orleans may be wilder, but the city of Washington, D.C. is just as fascinating. As the seat of power for the United States government, everywhere you go, the nation's history surrounds you. And some say the ghosts of historical figures might also be surrounding you.
When people claim that a house is haunted, the stories are always fascinating. But what if they're more than just stories? Investigators of haunted houses use many methods to explain the inexplicable, and sometimes they find very different answers. We may never know for sure if haunted houses are real. The skeptics think that ghosts and hauntings are just ways for believers to explain the unknown. But for most people, the truth is a total mystery. One day science may find an explanation and we'll know for sure. Or maybe we're better off not knowing. Scotland is a country with a mystical and ghostly past. Tales of bloody clan battles and family curses still resonate within the stones of its ancient castle walls. Ghosts lurking behind secret doors, waiting for just the right moment to reveal themselves, perhaps when we least expect it. These are the stories of Scotland. Supernatural tales of fierce loyalty, personal sacrifice, and cruelest betrayal. Have you ever wondered what they would say if the walls could talk? In Scotland, it is said sometimes they do. Phantom hammering in the dark of the night, moans of pain and loneliness emanating from hidden rooms, whispers of secrets around every corner. The Scots are a people with strong traditions. They have always held a deep respect for the unseen forces of nature and unexplained occurrences that have been part of their history from the dawn of memory. Fyvie Castle was built 200 years before Columbus came to America. Its ancient walls have weathered the centuries well, but along the way it has collected a history of betrayal and treachery, so intense that it seems even now to deeply affect the lives of those who dare to stay. Scotland has many castles that some believe still contain living history. Spirits with unfinished stories, entities that have secrets to share, and beings that wish to stay in the homes where they were once happy. Glamis is the most infamous of the many Scottish castles reputed to be haunted. Do specters from another world coexist with us in this one, never intending to be seen by us at all? If we listen very carefully, might we hear voices or music drifting toward us from another time and place? In the ancient and magical land that is Scotland, some still believe they can. It is half man, half ape. It lives in the shadows. Thousands of people claim they have seen it. From the wilds of the Pacific Northwest to the mountaintops of Tibet, but it remains elusive. Truth or Scare tracks the truth about the creature known as Bigfoot. Its name has been translated from many native languages: Yeti, Sasquatch, the Abominable Snowman, and yes, Bigfoot. Is this creature the last great undiscovered animal in the world, or just an oversized prank? For many generations, Native Americans of the Pacific Northwest have told of an ape-like creature they call Sasquatch, but it was only folklore, or so they thought. Claims of a Bigfoot creature are not limited to North America alone. There have been reports of a similar creature in Australia, Central Asia, India, and Tibet. Coincidence? Or is it possible that a gigantic man-ape could go uncaptured for thousands of years? It may seem unlikely, but animals thought to be extinct have turned up before. The giant creature known as Bigfoot has been dodging hunters and investigators for years. He supposedly hides by day and hunts by night in the giant forests of the Pacific Northwest. The only physical evidence is its unusual footprints. The question is, are any of them real? Is the Bigfoot of the Northwest a lonesome relic from another era, or does he have relatives around the globe? People the world over tell tales of a half-man, half-beast lurking in the shadows. The Himalayas, one place with a long history of sightings, is home of the legendary Yeti. If the secret of Bigfoot's survival is to remain hidden, it may be very difficult to ever prove its existence. Sightings and stories, legends and half-truths, footprints and fabrications. Somewhere in between lies the truth and the answer to the question, is there a real Bigfoot? Sometimes it's impossible to get rid of unwanted guests. Has a vampire invited herself to dinner? There's one way to find out. They say a witch's spirit lives in this cave.
Won't get away.
But it might be safer not to go searching. Is this an ordinary covered bridge? Or the way to the next world? The time has come to welcome the night visitors to Truth or Scare. Who are the night visitors? Even people who say they've actually met these mysterious spirits have no answer. There are places where voices are heard, visions are seen, and explanations are nowhere to be found. If the stories are true, then the ghosts of the past are here now. And they only come out at night. Most people would probably say that vampires come from Transylvania. There are people all over the world who tell stories about the walking dead and monsters who feast on human blood. There have also been reports of vampires much closer to home, not so long ago. It is said that the night visitors come in different shapes and for different reasons. If the evidence is true, then there's an endless variety of spirits out there in the netherworld, like this young woman, forever waiting for a man who never arrives. Imagine living in your own castle. Would you ever want to leave? Inventor John Hammond and his wife believe so strongly in the afterworld. Witnesses claim their spirits never left the castle grounds. Could they have discovered the secret to eternal life? So, who are the night visitors? The inventions of superstition? Or forces beyond our understanding? Whoever, or whatever they are. Many people say they are intent on making contact. It seems like they might have something to tell us. Or maybe they're looking for answers themselves. Could the Atlantic Ocean be hiding a doorway to another dimension? East of Florida, there are mysterious waters that some claim can trap boats and planes that disappear forever. Is something going on here? Truth or Scare searches for the answer deep in the mysterious Bermuda Triangle. But beware, once we go in, there may be no way out. Deep under the ocean, there's a mystery just waiting to be solved. For decades, in an infamous region of the Atlantic Ocean called the Bermuda Triangle, travelers have just been disappearing. But some say there's no proof that it's anything more than a whole lot of hype. Is the truth out there? There's only one way to find out. We're heading straight in to the Bermuda Triangle.
It's a place where ships and planes go missing and are never found again. But hard facts tell us there's nothing unusual going on in the Bermuda Triangle. So how can we ignore the unsolved case of 6 U.S. Navy planes that disappeared in 1945? Though most planes and ships never experience any trouble in the Bermuda Triangle, people are fascinated with the ones that do, especially when one of the pilots lives to tell the tale. Mysterious fog, instruments that go haywire. Sometimes the sky over the Bermuda Triangle seems to practically swallow planes whole. But many say that the mysterious waters below are just as deadly. Could the depths be hiding the real answers to the unexplained events? Could the answer to this mystery really be as bizarre as power crystals from Atlantis, or something as simple as bad weather? Since nothing's ever been proven, it's easy to see how people can believe almost anything is possible. While we do know that there are no more disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle than anywhere else in the world, one thing's still for sure. Travelers entering the Bermuda Triangle will probably always breathe easier when they've made it through alive.
Wales is a beautiful, peaceful, and inviting country, but beware of accepting an invitation. For just beneath the surface of this seemingly idyllic historic place lie stories cloaked in dark shrouds of mystery. Stories of treacherous deeds and deep secrets that some believe haunted to this very day. This is the ghostly story of murder, betrayal, and vengeance in the great castles of Wales. Have you ever felt as though someone was standing right behind you, but no one was there when you turned around? Have you ever been frightened by an unidentifiable noise in the night? Most of us have wondered who lived in our homes before us. Who were they? What were their stories? Are they really gone? Passed down from generation to generation, the Welsh retell ancient stories of vengeance and great treachery. But there are those who say more survives than just these tales. Across the mountains of North Wales, it is told a dark secret lurks, waiting to reveal itself to the unsuspecting visitor. Though Peter and Judy believed from the beginning their castle came with ghostly tenants, it wasn't long before they realized that they were going to encounter far more than they could ever have imagined. As their investigations continued, the castle itself was to give up yet another secret buried for hundreds of years. Paranormal experts say not all ghosts are as warm and as friendly as Peter and Judy's canine houseguest. Some spirits are lost souls with a tormented past, locked forever in their homes with no hope of escape. Ghosts of humans long dead, beloved pets clinging to their homes, people whose lives were cut short by mishaps and misdeeds. If these entities are real, we may never know what holds them to this earth. One thing we do know, each of the stories we have just seen is believed by those who have experienced them to be absolutely true.
Every year on one special night, people all over the world find the fun in fear. For most of us, Halloween is the night for fright. Complete with costumes, trick-or-treating, and more candy than you can ever eat. But did you ever wonder where all of these different traditions come from? Find out when Truth or Scare rips the mask off of Halloween. For most of us, Halloween isn't all that scary, right? Witches flying around on brooms? Who actually believes in that?
And if you ever run into a demon, it's probably just your little brother in a rubber mask. But the true origins of Halloween go back thousands of years to a time when some people say dark magic and evil spirits were very real. The ancient legends say the Druids were some of the first people to celebrate on Halloween. Could they have ever imagined that one day Halloween would be celebrated by millions? Is there anything more innocent than bobbing for apples? How about carving a jack-o'-lantern? Messy, sure, but it's about the most harmless fun you can have. Or is it? Despite its ancient roots, Halloween is pretty much a new thing in North America. Irish immigrants brought it to the New World only a few hundred years ago. Since then, it's become one of America's most popular holidays. But if you think the fear factor's gone, think again. Over the centuries, Halloween has gone through more than a few changes. But should we really be scared on Halloween night? Could the mysterious legends and creepy stories be true? Or are those strange visions and ghostly creatures in the shadows really just trick-or-treaters after all? Years after their untimely deaths, do some movie stars refuse to fade away? Is Hollywood haunted? Some say that in this magical town, their spirits continue to wander. In historic hotels, mysterious ships, famous movie soundstages, and long-forgotten theaters. Are the strange stories true? Today, Truth or Scare goes Hollywood and explores some of Tinseltown's most famous haunts. The land of shadow and light. That's what the Native Americans called the place we now know as Hollywood. Long before there were motion pictures and movie stars, some considered this land a spiritual place filled with magic. Today, Hollywood is home to the magic of the movies, but some believe that it's also home to strange spirits still clinging to the Hollywood they once knew. No trip through haunted Hollywood would be complete without a detour to the ocean and a visit to the legendary Queen Mary. Its mysterious past has earned her the nickname the Grey Ghost. Some say the voices of Hollywood's past can still be heard on this great ship. If you come to Hollywood hoping to see a movie star, odds are you'll probably get your wish. But if you come to Hollywood to see a ghost, you might want to visit an old soundstage where the stars made their movies. It's said that some stars never want to leave their place in front of the camera. According to witnesses at one famous studio, some never have. In Hollywood, the brightest stars' names line the legendary Walk of Fame. Some stars are still adored, others have been forgotten, and some believe that a few stars are working on a comeback as ghosts. Could it be true? One group is determined to find out. Hollywood is a place where the legends of some stars live on forever. Some believe that their spirits live on as well. Could it be true? There's no doubt that Hollywood is a magical town where fantasy and reality blur. Perhaps our love for our favorite stars does make them want to return, again and again, for one last interview and one more autograph. If it were going to happen anywhere, it would most likely be in Hollywood. Say they've seen them. Visitors swear they've heard them. Some even claim they've felt them. They're ghosts. The mysterious spirits that supposedly haunt some of our most luxuriously spooky hotels. Every story is stranger than the next. But could they actually be true? It's time to find out. We're checking into haunted hotels on Truth or Scare. We've got reservations at some of the most fabulous old hotels in the US. There's just one thing you should know. These places have a certain reputation for terror. Some guests claim that when night falls, you might hear a few windows rattling and doors slamming, or see strange apparitions and ghostly visions. Are these specters just the creation of overactive imaginations? Or are these historic hotels truly filled with restless spirits? There's no better place to feel welcome than in one of the South's historic mansion hotels. But at one particular hotel, don't be surprised if you run into an unexpected guest. Travelers lost in the desert sometimes see bizarre visions. The blazing heat of the sun is the reason, supposedly. But at one resort in the desert town of Palm Springs, California, many people are convinced that the elegant ghost who haunts the grounds is no mirage. When sleeping in a hotel built in the 1870s, you should expect to hear a few bumps in the night. But some guests of the Snowball Inn in Knights Landing, California, say that they've heard babies wailing, doorbells ringing, and even claim they've seen a woman who walks through walls. Even with all of the bizarre claims of unexplained sights and sounds, these historic hotels still pull in guests from around the world, some of them actually looking for a good scare. And even though there's no proof that ghosts exist, if you spend the night in one of America's haunted hotels, you might want to sleep with a light on. Want to see something really scary? The worst fears we can imagine live inside our own minds. They give us cold chills and nightmares. But they can also help us recognize danger and keep out of harm's way. Truth or Scare is going on the most dangerous mission of all, challenging fear itself. Do you have the guts to keep watching? Are you afraid of the dark? Fear is one of the strongest human emotions. Most people would say being afraid is one of the worst feelings there is. But then why do we love horror movies and roller coasters so much? The answers are more complicated and more frightening than you might think. Everyone loves a good movie, but some audiences demand a little something extra. Demons from another world, psychotic maniacs who stalk the night. If you're into scary movies, the more blood-curdling, the better. Why would anyone choose to be scared? 'Cause it's fun, that's why. Just ask anyone into those extreme roller coasters. You know, the ones that take you right to the edge and then plunge you down with an overpowering rush of mind-numbing terror. For most of us, our natural fears tell us to avoid real danger. It's called the survival instinct, and it comes in very handy if you want to stay alive. But some people's brains are wired a little differently. Every day they face serious danger in their jobs, even risking their lives. Do you think we can ever completely get over our fears? Maybe not. But people have proven you can conquer certain types of fear by taking control of a scary situation. Scientists are constantly learning more about how our brains work. So maybe one day
we'll finally figure out why some people are afraid of the dark. And other people just can't get enough of it. The only question is, which one are you? Magical spells, mysterious powers, strange rituals. Stories about witches have been scaring people for a long, long time. Is there really anything to be afraid of? Get ready to discover the chilling history of witches, the myths, the legends, the terrifying truth. And meet the witches of today who keep the mysterious ancient traditions alive. Are you prepared to face your fears? Because Truth or Scare is going to face the truth about witches. Witches, wizards, warlocks. They've been known since the Stone Age for mysterious rituals, spells, and their belief they can bend the forces of nature. Today, witches are the subject of best-selling books, video games, movies, and of course, TV shows. But stories have been told about them for centuries, and the true history of witches is the most shocking story of all. What if you could be tricked into becoming a witch? When the Puritans came to the New World from England, they brought along their belief that the devil had power over everyone. And in 1692, many say that belief drove the town of Salem, Massachusetts, to the edge of insanity. Imagine if you could lose your life just because someone said you were a witch. Well, in 1692 in Salem, the claims of the girls in the attic shocked the entire town. Now the question was, were they telling the truth? History has shown that no one in Salem who was accused of being a witch was a witch. But there are still some unanswered questions, like what really happened to the girls in that attic in 1692. It looks like the history of witches has come full circle, because both ancient and modern witches claim to harness nature through spells and rituals to improve their lives. But is their magic real? That's up to you to decide. But real or not, witches will always have the power to cast spells over our imaginations. The freezing cold waters of Loch Ness are deep, dark, and home to a monstrous mystery. People claim to have spotted it thousands of times. Locals, tourists, even a saint. But what are they seeing? Frightening, fascinating. Some say it's even been caught on film, but it's never been captured by nets. Is there really a terrifying beast alive deep in this mysterious Scottish lake? Or does it just exist in our imaginations? The Loch Ness Monster is coming for you, next on Truth or Scare. North of England, in Scotland, a huge mysterious creature lives in a remote lake. They call it the Loch Ness Monster. But is it just a story? Over 3,000 people claim they've seen the monster with their own eyes, but non-believers say that's just not enough evidence to prove it exists. Who's right? There's only one way to find out. Reports come in all the time about strange sightings in the lake. But sightings of what, exactly? Plenty of people want to uncover the truth about Loch Ness, but who's brave enough to go looking for it? Real-life monster hunters, that's who. The most famous lake in Scotland is home to legendary stories and maybe even a monster straight out of the age of dinosaurs. Please Plesiosaurs haven't been seen alive for over 60 million years, but some monster hunters claim one of these ancient marine reptiles is living in Loch Ness. Witnesses have been telling stories about the Loch Ness monster since the Middle Ages. Could they be true? Could Nessie actually be real? Or were people just seeing what they wanted to see? Could thousands of witnesses for almost 1,500 years just be seeing things they want to see? Or is the Loch Ness monster real? Could it be a totally new animal species, or maybe a link from Earth's prehistoric past? Unfortunately, we're not much closer to an answer than the day Saint Columba claims he saw something in the waters of Loch Ness. And anytime the truth is this murky, be careful. You might just find a good scare anywhere. Imagine if you had a nightmare. And it came true. Or that you drew a perfect picture of something you'd never seen. Or it could cure the sick just by looking at a photograph. Would you be losing your mind? Or have you found a strange, new way to the truth? It's time to shine a light on the psychic mind with Truth or Scare. Do you know what I'm thinking? Well then, maybe, just maybe you're psychic. You wouldn't be the first person to make that claim. But is it all just a bunch of talk? Do we really have that sixth sense? That's the question that science is trying to answer. So far, we've met people who say they only have random access to their psychic powers. A dream of the future, a glimpse of the past, always without warning. But there are some who can summon their psychic gifts at will. At least, that's what they claim. Question. Have you ever had the feeling that someone is watching you? The testing of human psychic abilities has finally entered the computer age. Now, it's up to a man-made brain to help determine the capacity of human psychic power. So many questions with answers that might make some people a little uneasy. It can be terrifying to confront the unknown psychic potential of the human mind. Fortunately, science continues to search for that proof of potential. Imagine what we might do. Read someone else's thoughts, save lives, and maybe even see a picture of the future. Late at night, when you can't sleep, have you ever looked up at the sky and wondered? Are we alone in the universe? In 1947, some people thought that they'd found out the answer. And it told us aliens might be right here. Could flying saucers full of real live aliens have actually crashed into the Earth? Are they secretly being studied right now in this top-secret location? Have UFO believers lost their minds? Or have they discovered the truth? We're going on a tour of America's UFO hotspots. And who knows what we might find today on Truth or Scare. Throughout history, people have wondered if there are other beings in the universe. First it was demons, then ghosts. In the 20th century, our fascination focused on aliens. In 1938, many people thought Orson Welles' radio broadcast of War of the Worlds was a real news bulletin reporting an alien invasion of planet Earth. At first, people were terrified, but the panic didn't last long. Obviously, aliens could never really come here. At least not for another 9 years. Imagine if a flying saucer crashed in your town today. Would you be intrigued, scared, or both? In 1947, when the US military announced they'd found a spaceship in Roswell, some people got very nervous, while others simply wanted to know the truth. If a spacecraft did crash back in 1947, then someone or something must have been flying it, right? And where are they now? Some say the alien visitors were taken to a secret government lab called Area 51. What does the government say? That Area 51 doesn't even exist. Ever been inside Area 51? Chances are the answer is no. The US government makes sure that no one gets in there without top secret security clearance. But some UFO hunters are determined to find out what's inside Area 51, even if they have to take the ultimate risk. So what do you think? For over 50 years, people have been speculating that aliens might have landed in New Mexico. Here's what's not speculation. Something did crash in the desert in 1947, and Area 51 is a real place. Could it be the final resting place of alien astronauts? Or a secret base where the most advanced military aircraft are tested? If the government won't reveal the answers, we might have to start looking for the truth somewhere else. In farmers' fields all over the world, everyone wants to know, what on earth is happening? Huge formations are appearing out of nowhere. Some say they're man-made, others the work of angels. And there are those who believe they carry messages from another world. Could they be signs from above? Or just an elaborate hoax? To find an truth or scare is going deep inside crop circles. They appear in the middle of nowhere, practically out of nowhere. Gigantic, complex designs in farmers' fields, with some say unexplained energies and bizarre balls of light inside the formations themselves. They're called simply crop circles, but as you're about to find out, there is nothing simple about them. Since the early 1980s, crop circle investigators have been dying to discover just who or what is creating these bizarre designs all over the English countryside. Some say the answer came in 1991, when a shocking revelation rocked the crop circle world. The recent crop circle frenzy has proven one thing. Crop circles can and will be faked. Still, there are a few things that even the hoaxers can't explain. Like what some say happens when they step into the circles themselves. Visit the central English countryside this summer, and you might get to experience a crop circle for yourself. But will your experience be unbelievable? A lot of the stories about these mysterious formations seem pretty far out there, and so are the explanations. Are crop circles just the product of some creative, sneaky people? Or are they a message from a distant galaxy and a possible clue to our future? Some say the mystery's already been solved, but others believe these spectacular formations still have many secrets to reveal. Though no matter what you believe, one thing is for sure. The beautiful, magical crop circles will always send us a message of inspiration.